YouTube. Today's update is on Patrick's 1964 Galaxie 500 XL. He had stripped it the last time we talked and he epoxy primed it. Found some rust down here. He's gonna fix the bad body work that was done who knows how long ago. And there's some rust back here too. And there's a couple little dents, but it's all rust free and in pretty good shape overall. Then he stripped down the trunk lid. He used this Eastwood contour abrasive drum and it just takes it down to the metal so nicely. Looks really good.
All right, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good time on this lovely weekend. Just thought I'd give you a bit of an update on my paint stripping on the car. I went to get a new gallon of Endura paint stripper. It's pretty much the best stuff I've been able to get to use. Normally, it was always expensive, but it's gone up quite a bit. I think the retail price now in Canadian dollars is 300 Canadian. So really have to think twice about what I'm going to use. Now, I've used this Eastwood product to help the SCT with paint stripping. So I've used a wire brush and it works okay for loose stuff, but it's not great for the heavier stuff. I've used this to help with loose stuff as well. It's okay, but it's not that great. I was using these stripping drums. I've got 80 grit and I've got 60 grit, and while it works better, it still takes a long time to do it. So finally I went with this Contour SCT abrasive drum, and a little bit worried about it because it's 40 grit and I was worried about putting deep scratches in the paint. But I tried it on the passenger side quarter panel and it worked really well. It didn't actually cause any really deep scratches. So although it says 40 grit, it's more like an 80 grit when it comes to sand scratches on it. So I've been using that. It's been working reasonably well. What I'll do is I'll just do a bit of a trial for you all after 2 coats of paint stripper on the trunk, and then you guys can see how it works, and then I'll show you on the passenger side quarter what it looks like after a coat of epoxy primer. All right, later. All right, you can see me using the sanding drum on here. Let's see how well it works. Alright, you can see how quickly it did it. I'll probably go over with a sanding drum after, but seemed to work not too bad. Trying to keep the heat reasonably low, so I'm not sitting there and trying to rub the areas that are really bad off. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It's making quick work of a heavy load. Thought I'd give you a bit of an update on the work I've been doing on the trunk. On this side, what I used the wire wheel, and I used a 60 grit drum. It's called a grinding drum. And it came out pretty good. It was a two-step process. Came out good. The only thing you do see some scratches here. Those are from me scraping. That's not from the wheel. So pretty happy with it so far. This is one with that aggressive 40 grit drum. This is just a one-shot deal. I haven't gone over it with anything yet. I'll probably try the 80 grit stripping drum. What I did notice is it creates a little bit more heat, so you have to be a little bit more careful, whereas the 60 grit grinding wheel there seemed to be a little bit more, a little bit softer, didn't create as much heat, so it was a little bit more forgiving. This side, again, I'll try it and I'll give you guys an update later. Final update for the day. What I thought I would show you is the trunk work I did. I mentioned I was going to use a couple different products. So on this side I used the wire brush and this 60 grit drum, sanding drum. This side I used this 40 grit wheel with an 80 grit stripping drum. At the end, basically they took about probably the same amount of time. This side actually worked probably a little bit better, but I got a little bit smoother finish with the 80 grit on this one. One of the things, like I mentioned before, this drum creates a little bit more heat, whereas this was a little bit more forgiving. But in the end, really you could use both. What I'm going to probably continue using is I'll use this. I might use the 80 grit to do a final, just to get it nice and smooth, because it seems to clean it up a little bit better. Having said that, pleased with both. Just if you're going to use this drum, be careful for heat. And then I thought I'd show you this quarter panel. So I had stripped this quarter panel, came out pretty good. And what I'm really pleased with is a little bit of body work. Like, there's very little body work on the trunk. I thought it was a lot worse than it was. This side, very little body work. There's a dent there. There's a slight dent right in this area. And then there's a dent there you can kind of see. And in the bottom, really this rust spot, which isn't bad at all. This repair, which was quite terrible, can't lie about that. You can see how bad it is. They didn't really know what they were doing. Put a lot of body filler on there. And then this rust spot. So overall, pretty pleased with the car. It's been a very pleasant surprise to work on this. You'll see that I have this tire cover. What I did is I just bought an RV fire tire cover and put it on there. Then I can reuse it, and I don't care if it gets full of overspray. Just use that, keeps it protected from your wheels. All right, so in the end, pretty pleased with it. It took basically 2.5 hours for 2 coats of paint stripper yesterday, and then 2 hours to finish this where it is. And then same yesterday, or a couple days ago, I primed this quarter. So pretty pleased overall.